Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I hope everybody's doing well and having a good week so far. Um, my name is Madeline Edlin, and I work for the Equitable Food Initiative. EFI serves as the supporting organization behind ECIP, managing its software platform and convening the advisory group. Over the past couple of years now, ECIP has gained momentum and continued to build a shared baseline of social responsibility across the produce industry. ECIP is an industry-wide collaboration led by major buyers and suppliers, all committed to supporting the fresh produce supply chain on a continuous improvement journey on more responsible labor practices. ECIP is guided by an advisory group that includes Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco, Kroger, Target, McDonald's, along with six of their supplier partners. It's designed to stay relevant through updates and new iterations. Um, and remains responsive to the evolving needs of retailers, suppliers, and growers. Today, during this specific webinar, we will obviously be diving into the newly launched, as of today, FLC LAB, which we will learn how engagement stars work in FLC Lab. We'll have a walkthrough of the platform and what this means for the entire ECIP universe. Before we really dive in any further, a couple of housekeeping notes. If you have a question, please submit it anytime throughout today's webinar. If you're on Zoom, you can use the chat feature or you can use the Q&A feature. Just a heads up, the Q&A feature is anonymous, so we will not be able to see your name. Obviously, the chat will be able to see, and anybody will be able to see who puts it in there. Feel free to use either one, no preference. And if you're on LinkedIn Live, use that comment feature. We will gather all those questions at the end and respond. We love to see them, so keep them coming. My colleague Alexandra is running today's tech and will be doing all of the links and important information that you need throughout. So keep an eye on the chat, anything from Alexandra. And then finally, today's session is being recorded. So if you or somebody in your organization missed this session, it will be sent to their inbox in the next couple of days. And first, I would like to introduce Eve Codds, Food Safety and Compliance with Pacific Trellis. Eve, welcome.
Thank you, Madeline. As mentioned, I'm Eve Codds, the Food Safety and Compliance Manager at Pacific Trellis Fruit. We're a grower, packer, shipper, and we work with growers from all over the world. I wanted to start with the ECIP Grower Lab. It has become an expectation for many of our partners, and we've made it a core requirement with our growers. The success behind our onboarding of ECIP Grower Lab had everything to do with communication, especially around the privacy of the questionnaire and the benefits to our growers, the tools and resources upon completion. With that, I'm going to have the same approach with the FLC Lab. We work with many FLCs, and the launch of the FLC Lab is going to be a great contribution to our industry. And I'm really looking forward to being able to measure the progress of that success. I'm looking forward to answering any questions regarding the grower, packer, shipper side. Thank you for having me here.
Up next, we have Kenton Harmer, Director of Market-Based Impact with EFI. Kenton, welcome.
Hey, Madeline, thanks so much. So my job here is to place FLC in the world, right? And so if we really open up the aperture, it really starts with the Ethical Charter on Responsible Labor Practices. So this is that very important industry document that's authored by and owned by IFPA, ECIP being the Ethical Charter Implementation Program, that this is the program that's set up to build and recognize alignment with the ethical charter. So that ECIP ecosystem, as of yesterday, consisted of a grower lab, supplier lab, and buyer dashboard. And just to quickly go into the acronyms, you're going to hear a lot about labs throughout this webinar. Labs mean learn, assess, and benchmark, right? So these are the platforms that we set up for each of these supply chain actors to be able to come in, learn about the ethical charter, assess how they're doing operationalizing it, and then benchmark their own continuous improvement over time. So that ecosystem is a grower lab. So that's for employers of farm workers to learn, assess, and benchmark. Supplier lab to be the best suppliers they can for their supply chain to build on this work. And then a buyer dashboard where they get to see who is really able to demonstrate credible engagement over time and shows that they're in the system, they're doing the work, and they're being part of this industry effort, right? And the through line with all of this is engagement data. It's you're going to hear from Deanna in a few minutes as she walks you through FLC Lab, how you're going to be able to generate this engagement data for your operations, because it becomes really essential currency within this platform, this program that we've built, right? And at the simplest way, think of the more highly engaged an operation is, the lower risks it represents. And so we show that engagement data to your customers, whether you're a grower, that's visible to a supplier. If you're a supplier, that's visible to your buyer. And now we're expanding that ecosystem as of today, and we're really excited about this to include FLCs, critical employers in this supply chain. And so what we get by adding this is FLCs will go through the learn, assess, and benchmark experience that Deanna is about to show you and build this engagement data. And that's going to be available to your customers, to the growers that hire you. And they're going to be able to see who represents high risk versus low risk based on who is engaging in this work of improving workforce management systems at scale. So we're really excited to be able to welcome FLCs into the ECIP ecosystem through FLC Lab, and really to join us in this industry-wide effort to strengthen workforce management by rewarding those who are making improvements, right? And so we want to really emphasize this isn't an audit program. This isn't a punitive program. This is about giving people the space and ability and knowledge they need to make sure their management systems are exactly where they want to be, and to be able to get credit and reward from the market for having achieved and working towards these goals. And to really emphasize that this is an industry-wide effort and an industry-led effort. It's very emblematic that it's actually Walmart Foundation that has provided the most support in terms of the building of all of these labs, and who are generously going to cover the FLC Lab subscription fee for year one for FLCs that join us in the ECIP program, coming out of this webinar. So Madeline, as we go through this, if there's more information you'd like me to provide just about like where this sits, but this is just such a critical addition for us to be able to really represent all the key actors in the fresh produce supply chain and get them into this program where they get to be rewarded for demonstrating credible continuous improvement.
Thanks, Kenton. Great framing and a little bit of table setting for where we are today with ECIP. Really exciting stuff. And as Kenton mentioned, up next, Deanna Monroe, EFI's Technical Product Manager, is going to now walk us through the actual platform. So we get to see the platform for the first time. I get to see the platform for the first time, which I'm very excited about, and walk you through what that looks like, how to earn engagement stars as an FLC, and more. So Deanna, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Madeline. Hi, everyone. I'm Deanna Monroe, the Technical Product Manager here at EFI. And as Madeline mentioned, I'm going to walk you through the new FLC Lab platform. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, great. So as an FLC user, when you first log into FLC Lab, you'll come to this welcome page. After you've gone through and answered some of the assessment questions, every time you log into the platform, this is the landing page that you'll land on. The platform is telling you the percent completed of the assessment. The platform is giving you your engagement profile, letting you know which stars you've earned and which stars you've yet to earn. And then you can dive a little deeper by clicking into the Learn channel and then learning a little bit more about your engagement profile. But I want to start firstly with the Learn Assess benchmark. Like we've seen in Grower Lab and in Supplier Lab, FLC Lab also has those three components: Learn, Assess, Benchmark. On the Learn channel, our users, our FLC users, are going to educate themselves about the management systems required to align with the ethical charter principles. You'll see here on the left, we have the 12 out of the 13 principles of the ethical charter. And then you can click on each management statement, and we're going to have resource links for you to help you understand and respond credibly to each assessment question. We have a notes box that is confidential and shared only between the users that are attached to this organization's FLC Lab account. And then if you need to do a little bit of work and you want to prioritize this specific management system statement, you can prioritize high, medium, and low. And you click continue to go to the next principle or the next statement within that principle. And then on the assess channel, that's where you are going to confidently and answer those management system statements, rank yourself with our 5 answers here. We're setting an example, we're doing well, we're improving, we're learning and developing, and we're struggling in this area. If you need a refresher, you can click on the little I here for more information, and it'll bring up those resources for you that we saw in the Learn channel. And again, you can just click through, continue, and continue to respond and rank how your organization is doing based on those management systems. And then on the benchmark page, this page is going to summarize all of the work that you've done in the Learn and Assess channels. It's again going to show you your progress percentage. It's going to give you your engagement profile, showing you which stars you've earned. If you went through and prioritized any of those 56 questions, it's going to give those back to you here. So that way you can easily go back and work on those. The system is also going to, the algorithm is going to give you some recommended resources based on how you responded in the assessment channel. So if you responded lower or higher, the system is going to aggregate those resources so you can easily return back to them and continue to work and continue to move up within those 5 rankings. And then on the benchmark channel, we also have a breakdown of how you responded per principle. And if you hover over each of the slices, you can see which response correlates to that color. And then we're also going to show you how you responded broken down by management system. So you can click any of these management systems, and it's going to show you how you answered and how you can go back and work on that. So if we go back to the benchmark channel, you can learn very clearly, specifically how you earn each of those stars. The gold center star you're going to earn by either having or maintaining your membership status, leading or full with triple ALP, or you're going to hold one of our certifications, one of our ECIP approved certification programs. That's going to be either Clearview USA or our EFI FLC certification. It's an either or, and you earn that star. And then the assessment channel. The assessment channel is the assessment channel star, excuse me, is earned by completing all 56 of those management statements and then attesting to the accuracy within answering those questions. The learning channel is earned when an FLC creates a continuous improvement action plan for those higher priority areas, and then you're also expressing willingness to share that progress. The FLC is asked to share examples within that action plan and to provide some non-sensitive documentation to support those responses that are we are doing well or we are setting an example for our peers. This will help contribute to a catalog of best practices. The advanced engagement star is going to demonstrate a commitment to transparency, confirming the FLC's belief that if their workforce were surveyed, the workers' experience would align with the FLC's self-assessment. And the worker lab is coming soon. And then lastly, that recruitment star, you're going to answer yes or no to using one of the tools mentioned here, the Stronger Together 360 or the recruitment cost calculator from Verite. And then you're going to list all of the recruitment agencies that provide some or all of your workforce. So that's how you earn your engagement stars. I want to speak a little bit to how you're connected as an FLC, how you're connected to the grower. So to make that connection at this point, I'd ask that you reach out to our support at ethicalcharterprogram.org, and we can make that connection for you on the back end. And then if you navigate to company, once we make that connection for you, you can see which growers that you are connected to. And with that, I'll stop sharing my screen and pass it back to you, Madeline.
Thanks. I just have one quick question I want to reiterate. So I know with all the previous labs, grower lab and supplier lab, all questions are kept private within that organization. FLC follows the same suit. Can you clarify that?
Yeah, FLC follows the same pattern. Everything is kept confidential and private to the users that are participating in that platform's account. The purpose is to encourage credible engagement and to encourage folks to understand that you answer honestly and there's no retaliation. We want you to engage in the platform and work towards we are setting an example for our peers or we're doing extremely well. So everything is completely confidential so that you feel safe and have that safe harbor environment as you work through the platform.
So if you and I were in a lab together and we were like, man, this is an area like where we're really struggling, and I mark us as like struggling and I have notes, but you're able to see that and we can kind of collaborate and practice that continuous improvement to grow up the scale without like our customers seeing it, right?
Exactly. All of that data, even EFI can't see that data. So I encourage you to speak to your colleagues via that note section and that priorities because you can only see that between your organization. And you can both be logged into the platform at the same time concurrently.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Well, you stay. And with that, I'm going to bring up Kenton and Eve back up to the stage and we're going to flow right into our Q&A section. Thank you, Kenton. Great to have you back. And we will kick things off. So, everybody, this is the part of the show where you interact with us. We need your questions in our inboxes to kick things off. And I'm sorry, hold on. Let me pull some up. One second. Okay, to kick us off, how much time should FLCs expect to spend getting started with FLC Lab? Deanna, maybe?
Sorry, my audio went out there for a second. Can you repeat the question for me?
Oh, for sure. We were just, Kenton, this is Kenton's fault because backstage, Kenton was like, we've never had technical difficulties. So now everything's going to fail. One more time. How much time should FLCs expect to spend getting started with FLC Lab?
Thank you for repeating the question. So ultimately, FLC Lab is designed to be an accessible entry point into social responsibility, meaning that the time spent should be viewed as an ongoing strategic investment in strengthening your labor management systems rather than a rapid one-time compliance exercise. So depending on your organization and what level you're at when assessing yourself against those management systems, it just depends. It varies across organizations. So instead of giving you a prescription or a time limit, I'd say just aim to, again, answer credibly and refer back to the platform, go in and out, and write notes to each other. But I wouldn't think of it as a time limit or you should spend an X amount of time in the platform.
Okay, great. Questions are rolling in. I really appreciate this, everybody. Let me just get these organized. What if a grower uses more than one FLC or they drop an FLC due to any reason?
I can take that one as well, Madeline.
Go for it.
Um, yeah, the platform allows you to be connected to as many FLCs and as many growers as you need. At this point, like I mentioned earlier, please reach out to us as support and we can add and connect those FLCs to your grower account or your grower to your FLC account. And whenever there's a change, again, reach out to us and we can remove those connections for you. But you can connect to as many organizations as you need to.
Okay, is there a feature to invite FLCs from the grower profile?
I can take that one as well.
Let's go.
At this point, there is not a way for the grower to invite the FLC directly. We would have to invite them on the back end, but stay tuned. We are going to have some feature updates soon that I would ask Kenton to talk about eventually. But right now, we would do all of the inviting for you and the connecting on the back end.
Great. Okay, is FLC Lab required if we want to continue supplying to Walmart, Kroger, Costco, etc.?
Yeah, why don't I take that one? And not to speak on behalf of our buying partners, many of which are on this webinar with us today. From EFI's place of being asked to create this program, make it accessible to the entire supply chain, to drive continuous improvement program. I think we really struggle with the word require. I think that's really up to your merchant or buyer to tell you whether it's required or not for them. Our sort of more global view is this is required in order to stay current in the market with what the best practices are and how you're going to be able to retain and attract, workforces over time that are going to give you good quality, good productivity. And it's really up to, in your conversations with your customers, to get a sense of how much they require of you. And I will say it's changes from buying partner to buying partner, but it's quite a bit. I think there is real market advantage to being showing up in this system and incredibly engaging. But you're going to want to get the exact details from your customers directly.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Up next, which specific worker welfare indicators carry the most weight for FLCs? Training, wage transparency, grievance mechanisms?
Yeah, I'll take this one. I'd say, one of what we think is really important about ECIP and FLC Lab makes it very different from the traditional tools that we've used to do this kind of work, which generally has meant auditing, is that we're really bought into the concept of self-directed development, right? So we're really setting it up for you to be able to decide what does your operation need to work on and how will it work on it, and what does the solution set look like for you and for your business needs. And so I would say it's the weighting of all these very important issues. We're giving you the tools so that you can do an assessment and figure out what do you think is the most important for your organization and for your business around this list that's been provided in the comment.
Great. Will FLC Lab only be connected to Grower Lab and the Supplier Lab not be involved? What does the gold star look like for an FLC?
Yeah, and why don't I take this one, because I'll just talk about again that through line that starts with FLC Lab now and goes right up to buyer dashboard to sort of give people a better sense of what this concept of engagement really means. So everything is connected in terms of there is a line that goes all the way through the supply chain, but each lab has direct visibility only to the next basically your customers, the next actor downstream of the supply chain. So FLC Lab, your engagement data is going to be available to your growers. Okay, growers, their engagement data is available to their suppliers. So it So FLC data doesn't automatically leap over the growers and become visible to suppliers, but the work that you do and the stars that you earn benefit and help growers earn their stars. When they earn stars, that shows up to the suppliers. It helps them earn their stars. And then finally, the buyer dashboard is the culmination of all of that effort that now reaches right back to FLCs.
Great. And we have some demos. We haven't included FLC Lab, but there's demos on the website about how engagement stars flow from grower up through the buyer dashboard. So feel free to review those too. It might be helpful to kind of conceptualize. It's hard when it's a lot of words. Okay. If a grower drops an FLC and there was a premium in the fair trade account, would it be needed to pay out the FLC premium members and then continue fresh with the new FLC? Very fair trade specific.
Very fair trade, yeah, and I would say that's a fair trade question. We don't have an opinion on how the premium is managed.
Yeah, check in with fair trade on that one. If your FLCs do not complete their FLC lab, will it affect their grower stars? You touched on that, Kenton, but you want to reiterate a little bit more?
Yeah, so we're coming into engagement 3.0, and for those that have been part of this program for the last couple of years, that'll mean something to you. For those that aren't, what it means is the way you earn stars changes annually in July. So the way engagement, when we first launched this program in November of 2023, the way to earn engagement stars was appropriate for a brand new program and people coming into it for the first time. Engagement 2.0, which launched last July, was a little step up to say, okay, how are we going to demonstrate credible engagement at this point? We're coming up to July. That means we're coming up to engagement 3.0. So there's going to be a new way for growers and suppliers to earn their stars starting in July. And just to give folks some more understanding about that is ECIP has an advisory group. It consists of our 6 buying partners, and Madeline talked about this at the start, some key suppliers, other important folks that are all a part of this conversation that we have about, like, okay, in 2026, what does credible engagement look like for a supplier? You know, and they'll have that conversation again in 2027. What does credible engagement going to look like for an FLC, for instance? So the thing, and what I should be really clear about is FLC stars are not going to change in July. They will change in July 2027 when we get to engagement 4.0. But in July, we're only changing the engagement thresholds for grower lab and supplier lab, and then FLC will join that cycle in 2027. And I feel like, Madeline, I got lost in the details. The bigger question was,
if your FLCs do not complete their FLC lab, will it affect the grower stars?
yes. And so what we're going to see in engagement 3.0 is that growers are going to be rewarded for either working with highly engaged FLCs or inviting FLCs into the system. So this is the integration point between FLCs and growers, where you advantage your customers by being highly engaged because they get credit and reward for that, right? So they want you to do this because they get credit and reward for that they're then able to show to their customers.
Awesome. Nicole has a question here. Quick start guide and other resources for FLCs beyond what's on the website. That's a me question, so I'm going to take it. Alexandra dropped our YouTube channel, which has some YouTube tutorials on FLC Lab already uploaded there. If you need something specific or if you have an idea for what might be helpful for all FLCs getting started, please reach out to me. Alexandra, would you drop my email in the chat? That's my wheelhouse, and I help create those one pagers and any resources that FLCs, growers, or suppliers might need in getting started. So feel free to reach out to me if you need something beyond what's already there, and we can work together to create that. Awesome. Up next, to be able to connect FLCs with growers, should growers be the ones to initiate this with ECIP support, or FLCs should do that instead?
Do you want me to take that one, Kenton?
Yeah.
Either or. We're happy to hear from either the FLCs or the growers and make those connections and invite those FLCs into the platform. So either or, we're happy to support.
Great. How much does it cost for an FLC to join?
Yeah, so nothing for year one, thanks to Walmart Foundation. Once if that part of the program finishes from the Walmart Foundation perspective, then it'll match the same fee schedule as Grower Lab, which is $200. So it's a nominal sum. We think it's important that people pay something to come into this space because our experience is that they value it differently than if it's a free tool. But we don't want that sum to be a barrier for anybody to participate.
Great. Yeah, exciting that it's free for the first year. That's really awesome. Thank you, Walmart. Apparently I'm having trouble reading this, so I apologize. From your perspective, what differences in FLC that is simply compliant from one that is truly high performing in worker engagement, and how is that reflected in the STAR system?
Yeah, so from our perspective, I mean these are fundamentally different organizations, right, culturally, and we see both come into this, and we see the folks that consume information like this as like, here's just yet another thing that I have to do because of either my customer or because of my buyer or whoever it is. This is what I got to do. What's the shortest line between me starting it and finishing it? And they bomb through it, and they get, frankly, very little value from it. But in the way we've designed it, but they also get very little reward from it as well. And, we can sort of see in the data that that's only a small percentage of the folks that are coming into ECIP. Most of them are coming in and seeing that there's real benefit to be gleaned from this, and by gleaning that benefit by learning about these things, using the resources, they are earning stars, and those stars have a real market value to them. So I would say from our question is the system is pretty good at picking up the folks that are just trying to get it done. And it doesn't punish them for that, but it doesn't give them, but they don't get any additional reward or benefit and stuff. Where the folks that engage credibly in it, that aren't afraid of saying, hey, we're really struggling with this area, and then looking at the learn resources on how they might be able to improve in this way for their own business. That's the kind of activity that the engagement stars really pick up on. And so they do tend to get rewarded for that type of engagement, where that reward doesn't, there's not a lot of fidelity. Like we don't punish the other folks that are just kind of gaming the system. But they just don't end up over time, particularly as the engagement thresholds change year after year. They eventually need to get credible with their work, or they start losing stars.
Awesome. Eve, this might be a good one for you. Who is the person in my operation that needs to be assigned or in charge of FLC Lab?
That's a good question. It's going to be very similar to the ECIP one. There's a lot of different operations that run the labor contractors. Sometimes it's a crop management company, direct with grower, or even through a handler. So you would have to first find out who the first point person is, the group, and go from there. For me, it's been a combination of like a project manager, food safety, and occasionally the HR. So first point would be who's the operations that's hiring the FLC and go from there.
I appreciate it. You have a great perspective on actually implementing lab throughout your operation. What kind of resources are or support are built into the platform? Deanna, maybe?
Yeah, for sure. So the Learn channel has a dedicated area for FLC specifically to help them build their knowledge around those 56 distinct work areas. This includes a curated library of FLC specific resources that I showed during the demo, that green box for every reflective statement. That helps them formalize and answer those questions credibly. So some examples of those resources that we have within the platform, we have a no child labor policy procedure, a working time policy and procedure template, good practice grievance mechanism effectiveness checklist, and then also that component of the action planning template. So rather than just identifying failures, this continuous improvement action planning template is going to help support some strategic risk reduction within the platform and within your management systems. And then also our wonderful marketplace of expert service providers. It's linked within the platform, but it's hosted on our website. That is an excellent resource for all of our FLC users.
Great. This is similar to what we've already answered, but in a little slightly spin. So what would be a competitive advantage for an FLC to join FLC Lab?
Yeah, let me take that one, and I'll try and be a little more precise and clear. I want to start with the thesis of the higher the engagement, the lower the risk. And I think everybody in this industry knows that lowering the risk in the supply chain is incredibly important activity for our buyers. I think we're seeing suppliers responding to the energy around that by increasingly starting to try and figure out who their best grower, what their best grower network looks like, partially based on risk as well, right? And then as it keeps going, we think that it's going to be a real benefit to growers to be able to look into the FLC market and see who are the FLCs that represent the least amount of risk to them. Because not only does engagement data flow all the way up to buyers, so does the risk, right? And we all know from the experiences in reports that come out from NGOs, from journalism, that when there's a problem over here, it becomes everybody's problem. So we're really designed that engagement star mechanism to really address that. So I would say there is already a high, but an increasing competitive advantage to be able to demonstrate credibly to the market that you are a low risk operation. And you do that by being highly engaged in FLC Lab and in the ECIP program.
Awesome. Alexandra dropped a feature we did on the action plan template, which Deanna mentioned. So that's in there if you'd like to find more. One second. If we participated, sorry, I'm jumping into another question after rambling about the action plan template. Another question. If we participated the last 2 years in FLC Lab, is it necessary to complete the form? If we participated in the last 2 years of FLC Lab, is it not necessary to complete the form? Clarification around that one?
And I may need clarification on the question. Being that this is FLC Lab's first birthday, we're just launching it today. I'm wondering if the question from Julia is more about engagement in Grower Lab, and if you were engaged in Grower Lab, but you have FLCs in as part of your program, please bring those FLCs in. if you're in one of those organizations, and we do see this occasionally, where you're both a grower and an FLC, please come into FLC Lab as the FLC part of your business.
Let us know if that didn't fully clarify your question, Julia. Feel free to raise your hand or type another question in. We can always take you off mute if you need to speak. But yes, today's not only FLC's first birthday. Today FLC is being born. It's birthday. So it is day 0 of FLC Lab. Great. Any other questions? We have a couple more minutes. If you feel the urge to pop those questions in, we will address them over the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, I just wanted to go over 2 upcoming webinars that we have coming. First off, on April 22nd, we are going to go over everything you need to know about renewing your ECIP subscription. So whether you're a grower or a supplier and you are up for renewal over the summer, come to this webinar. Deanna and I will be hosting that one. So you get the best of the best. What can you say? On April 22nd, 10 a.m. Pacific. And then on May 20th, we're going to be talking about CAPS. So continuous improvement through the audit specifically, and continuous inaction on the field. So if that sounds like something you do and something you'd be interested in, come to that one on May 20th. And again, the FLC lab registration form, Alexandra, if you can back up, is on that QR code on your screen right there. So if you're wanting to get started, oh, that was amazing. So if you're wanting to get started today, fill out that form. It is free for your first year, thanks to funding from the Walmart Foundation. Otherwise, yes, woo confetti. I love it. Alexandra, thanks for that surprise. Have a great day, and we will see you next time. And we look forward to all of our updates and continued engagement throughout the summer. Thanks, everybody.